Welcome into week 3 of the Belhaven Blazers Football Coaches Show. I'm Kenneth Nash. Joining me as always, Head Coach Blaine McCorkle. Coach, thanks for coming in.
You bet.
The Blazers took on Hardin-Simmons, number 6 Hardin-Simmons on the road last week. We're going to talk about that game a little bit, a close defeat, a really good game played in a bunch of different facets of the game, though, for the Blazers. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Austin College game coming up. We'll take a look at some highlights from Hardin-Simmons, the Hardin-Simmons game as well. But, Coach, before we get into all of that, just your overall thoughts on the week in Hardin-Simmons. Obviously, Abilene, tough place to play. And I think, maybe outside of our program, a surprising result. I think we knew that was certainly possible, but a lot of people outside the program, I think, were a little bit surprised by how it turned out.
Yeah, I think the score probably caught a lot of people's attention. A 5-point game to the number 6 team in the country. That's never happened around here. I think the 4 previous times we had played, the only times we played Hardin-Simmons, the average score was 59-12.
Yep.
And to cut that thing to 21-16 does speak well of where our program's headed. But we are by no means going to be resting on some sort of moral victory. We don't do that. Okay?
Yep.
A loss is a loss, and that's all that matters at the end of the day is we didn't do what we needed to do to win the game. So there's still a lot of lessons to learn, but there is marked improvement, and I do think it caught a lot of people's attention when they saw the score and the stat line.
You hit on something I wanted to talk about later, and we'll just go and talk about it now. I think one thing when you see these kind of games and you see these where I think public perception was that Belhaven was a massive underdog last time we played them, 2019 63-7 at their place, 21-16 is a massive switch. When you're talking to your team after the game and you're kind of breaking down this as a unit and as a group, obviously we don't celebrate moral victories and at the end of the day it's a W or it's an L and this one didn't come out the way we want. But when you're kind of talking to them and breaking it down, what's your message to the group as a whole about how the game went and then getting, kind of using that to build to this week?
Well, as soon as the game's over, you go in the locker room after and you kind of see the emotion of the kids after a unbelievably hard-fought game, an unbelievably physical game. It was a draining game. It was 97 degrees. There's no wind. You're in West Texas, so they were out of gas.
Yeah.
And they played extremely hard against a team that is a national championship caliber team. So the first thing I wanted them to do was take a deep breath and then just remove the emotion because we do have to move forward. Told them I was proud of them. I told them I loved them. Told them what I just told you, that there are no moral victories and we've got lessons to learn. But I did want them to take a deep breath, gather themselves, take a shower, let's get on the bus and get home, and then start over. Because if you're not careful in a emotionally draining game like that, it'll fester for 2 or 3 days. And I wanted to get that out of their system as fast as we could. So that was the message to move forward because we've got another great opponent in Austin College this week to get ready for.
Yeah, and obviously the Blazers 1-2 now, but I'm curious your perspective on it because it feels like it's almost hard pressed to be 1-2 at this point in the season. The 2 losses were both games that had 1 or 2 things gone Belhaven's way. Maybe a flag doesn't happen here or there. Belhaven can be sitting 3-0 with a win over a top-ranked team. What's your perspective as a coach how they've played these first 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's interesting. You get on the bus after that game and you've got 20 text messages of people saying, "Oh man, you're 2 or 3 plays away from being 3-0." Well, we're not.
Yeah,
we're not 3-0. So it doesn't really make you feel any better. We're 1-2.
Yeah.
What your potential is and what you are 2 completely different things. Potential means you haven't done anything yet. So we've still got a lot of work to do, and our kids know that. But we are extremely close. We're extremely excited about what's coming. If we'll keep working, if we'll keep improving, I think some really exciting things are down the road for us in the immediate future.
One thing you talked about last week when we were kind of previewing this game was that you respected the type of football team that Hardin-Simmons was in the program. They're 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 a powerful football team that's going to just impose their will. If you look at the stat line, if you watch the game play out, there's a lot of moments that it felt like Belhaven had kind of taken on that mantra, right? Dominated time and possession, dominated yards. If you look at the first half, really moved the ball at will in the run game. What does that do for you as a coach to kind of see your team going up against a team as good as Hardin-Simmons kind of act out and be the football team that I think you envision this program being?
Yeah, it was a good thing to see. My first year here in 2018, I'll never forget Hardin-Simmons coming in and just dominating us in all 3 phases. It was never a football game, and I remember watching the physical matchups and watching some of these skinny kids we had out there just fighting their tail off, but they just couldn't hold up.
Yeah.
And I've always known the type of football team that I wanted to grow, build, and develop. And that game, the Hardin-Simmons game in 2018, really set the stage for us to say, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the standard. That's how you play this game. That's how you play this game at a high level. And there's a lot of cute football out there right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fashionable football out there right now that puts up a lot of stats, and sometimes it scores a lot of points. But what does it do long term? When's the last time one of those truly won a championship of significance? They don't. Look at the University of Alabama. I'm no big Alabama fan. I'm an LSU guy. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they line up. They have a tight end. They have a fullback, and they play good, hard-nosed, physical football. At the end of the day, you do still have to block and tackle and physically dominate the guy across from you. The second drive of this game, we went 10 plays and 70 yards to score a touchdown against the number 6 team in the country, and we didn't throw a pass.
Yeah.
And now we're going to throw the ball. That is not what we're saying at all. But balance is having the ability to do both. And for us to do that against a team that I think is as physical as anybody in the country does say we're heading in the right direction and our program is going where we want it to go.
Yeah, certainly it's got to instill some confidence when you've got a unit like your offensive line that's playing so well right now, and they can go out there and the other team can kind of know what's coming and still can't stop it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yep.
So the Blazers ended up losing 21-16. We got some highlights, some really good plays. The defense looked very, very good. We'll look at them as well. Let's go ahead and dive into this first one. Defense right off the bat, forcing a turnover, first Hardin-Simmons drive of the game.
Yeah, first drive of the game, we went 4 and out, had 4 plays and punted. In the very first play, this wide receiver, this Evans kid, is really, really talented. Isaiah Blackman comes from the backside defensive end, which was an unbelievable effort play, knocks the ball loose, and we get it right back. And then basically what that did was set up the drive that I just mentioned. So our offense responded and got excited there after we got a quick turnover, went right back on the field, and we ate a ton of clock. I think after we score this touchdown from Brad, they get the ball back with 6 minutes and about 40-something seconds, and they had 1 offensive snap.
Yep.
And that was a big part of our game plan. Their offense is so powerful and so potent, and we wanted to keep them on the sideline. If they're not on the field, they can't score. So we really I was proud of our kids. They executed the game plan and managed the clock well. So 10 plays, 70 yards without throwing a pass for a touchdown was a good way to start the game.
Yeah, listening to the Hardin-Simmons home broadcast, that certainly seemed to be a key that they kind of focused on, was that Belhaven was just chewing up clock from the get-go and still was able to progress the ball. So really, really impressive. Obviously, the forced fumble, like you mentioned, leads to an offensive drive, 10 plays, 70 yards, capped off with a nice touchdown here.
Yep, and we'll look at Brad's touchdown here. We got down there. We got in our big personnel there at about the 4-yard line and punched it in. The play got stretched a little bit there and got wide, but Brad has an unbelievable second effort to just find the soft spot back inside and poke the ball in the end zone. It was 1st and goal here. I don't like him stretching the ball there. He knows that. Unless it's 4th and goal, you don't reach the ball. We'll play 2nd down, but great effort by Brad to put the ball in the end zone and go up 7-0.
Defense had a really good game for Belhaven as well. We talked a lot about the offense and their ability to move the ball, but against a Hardin-Simmons, a potent Hardin-Simmons offense, who kind of had their will with teams they played this year, the defense really stepped up and made some nice plays.
They did. Held Hardin-Simmons to 100 yards rushing, and you would have to go back a long way in the stats to find the last time that happened against a team that runs the ball as well as they do. So they did a good job keeping us in the game, and it was good, what we call it complementary football, where our offense and our defense, our kick game are really complementing each other in style of play. And our offense controlled the clock really well, kept our defense fresh so they could just get out there and let loose. And this clip we're about to see from Isaiah Blackman getting a big sack here to put them in a really long yardage situation. Isaiah, as we mentioned on the first clip before, had an unbelievable game. Their head coach said some really nice things about Isaiah after the game. Hey, make sure you tell that number 10 he's a special football player, and he is. His effort, his second effort, finding the quarterback, gets a big sack here. Playing really hard with a lot of emotion right now.
Yeah, you see Isaiah shed a couple blocks right there, and then those fresh legs, like you talked about, great pursuit of the quarterback. Here we've got Constantine Hunt's his first career field goal for the Blazers. This was came on the second drive, I believe, of Belhaven's second drive of the game.
Yeah, third drive of the game. We went 4 and out, then the touchdown drive, and this was the next one. After Isaiah's sack right there, we got pretty good field position after the punt. Offense drove down. We actually faked the punt to keep our offense on the field, which was a great play by Brooks Breimer. He needed 4 yards. I think he got 4 yards in an inch. But it was first down, kept us on the field, and then had a couple missed opportunities there to put it up 14-0. But Constantine Hansis, our freshman kicker from Hoover, Alabama, is off to a great start. He's going to have an unbelievable future here, and that was his first career field goal, so we're excited for him. Put us up 10-0 there in the second quarter.
More defensive plays coming right here. I believe this one's Carlton Brown getting in the backfield and getting a quick little sack here.
Yeah, I think this is Emmanuel Stanley, actually.
Correct,
It's a kid in the backfield. Our defense did a good job all week, really scouting them out and finding some tendencies in the run game and kind of knowing where some of these gap schemes that they like to run were going. So good job by Emmanuel Stanley there. Another freshman linebacker who's now started, including the spring, 8 games. So a lot of experience for a guy with 3.5 years left to go, and he's going to be a really, really good football player for us for a long time.
Emmanuel Stanley led the team in tackles in the game against Hardin-Simmons. You saw a big play right there, tackle for loss. Here's Carlton Brown. Got a little ahead of myself. Here's Carlton Brown getting the backfield. He's an end who can kind of go down low and play inside, but he gets on the edge here and good pressure, good closing speed.
Yeah, Carlton can, just like Isaiah, he can really run for a defensive lineman and really patient, does a good job with his hands there, kind of seeing and feeling where that thing's going to go and shedding the blocker and getting in the backfield. Making a sack on their quarterback there, who we mentioned last week was the player of the year in the conference last year, an All-American. And to get that guy on the ground definitely helped.
Yeah, the offense though was not to be outshined too much here. Big play coming for the Blazers on this opportunity, and this kind of put the Blazers in some good field position and kind of kept the game close, I guess, is best way to put it, and kept the Blazers in this one.
Yeah, it did. Colby Blunt had his career high rushing at 101 yards. He's got a really bright future as well. ASC Freshman of the Year a year ago, and makes a nice play on the backside of the power play here. A lot of play will get kind of wadded up, and that backside A-gap will spit, and that's something we've talked to him a little bit about. It's good to see him do that right there. He got jammed up, but he found it, got down the sideline for about 49 yards. To put us in pretty good position.
Yeah, good break right there by Colby. Good acceleration to pull away from the defense. Big play for the Blazers there from Colby. And this is Brad, who we know is a talented running back, but he's a good pass catcher as well. He's one of the leading pass catchers on your team. Here he's got a big one, makes a couple guys miss, and turns into a big play.
Yeah, this is on the last drive of the game. The score right now is 21-10. We're less than a minute. Had a chance to score earlier, didn't take advantage of it. But I was really proud of our kids, and if you watch that clip, Brad's effort when the game was pretty much decided is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And these kids fought all the way to the end, and I'm really proud of them because they recognized in the moment, you know what, this game is we're probably not going to win it. We're playing as hard as we can against one of the best teams in the country, and we've put ourselves in position to be in the game late. We're going to finish it right. And I was really proud of the character they showed and the way they finished this thing off. But Brad's effort there was phenomenal just to get vertical, get some yards, and put us in position for Mario to score here on the last play.
Yeah, Mario Asagillan, the quarterback, going to take it in for the Blazers to cap this one off. Who finished 21-16. And Coach, this play, Mario, we know about how special an athlete he is. He just tucks it, runs a man over, and gets into the end zone.
Yeah, he does, and this is what he can do. If it's not there, he can put his foot in the ground and get north in a hurry, and finishes the game off with a score to make it a 5-point game there. And really proud of the way the guys finished it. A lot of teams right there would just say, let's just hand the ball off and finish this thing and go home. But that's not what we showed up to do. We showed up to fight till the end. We were going to go down swinging. If it was a 15-round fight, it would have gone to the judge's card, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that's what that one did. So we were going to swing to the end, and I'm proud of the way they finished. Like we said from the start, we are not satisfied with a loss, but we do see some great progress and good things to come based on that game.
Yeah, watching that game from my perspective, it certainly felt like that last drive, we were going to go down and score something. We were going to walk away with points, the last points of the game, even though the game was out of reach at that point. Obviously, turn the page now. You take a look ahead to Austin College. First time ever facing off against Austin College in Belhaven history. They've obviously playing football in the ASC this year. This team is a program we don't know a ton about, at least from the outside. I know you've done a lot of scouting on them. What can you tell us about this Austin College football team?
Very well coached. Very disciplined in what they do. Very sound in what they do. They know who they are. They know who they want to be. They're going to line up and execute. We have seen a lot of crossover film from them. We traded some film in the spring to try to get to know them a little bit better. Have 2 films on them this year, and just talking to other coaches that have been common opponents and things, and they speak really, really highly of Coach Dawson and the way he runs his program, the type things he does, and they will probably a lot like Southwestern, who came in here a couple weeks ago. They're a really high-end academic school that are just smart, tough, focused kids that do what they're coached to do. So we've got our work cut out for us, and pretty certain our guys will respond well after last week, because I do think that they are motivated to move forward and finish the second half of the season right.
Back in the Bowl Stadium here on the campus of Belhaven University. Austin College obviously knocked off Sol Ross last weekend. Was there anything from that game and kind of scouting that game and watching that game, any players you keyed in on or anything that you focused on? You say this is something we're going to have to keep an eye on Saturday night? Yeah,
the quarterback's a solid player. He's also their punter. He was first team All SAA a year ago, now in the ASC. First team All Conference punter and second team All Conference quarterback. So he's a talented kid. He's a really good athlete who can do some things. They've got these Rideau kids, a running back and a receiver. Running back gets downhill hard. They'll stretch it out, and then he'll hit the thing vertical, and he's a hard, aggressive downhill runner, and really impressed with what he's been able to do. So they do definitely pose some problems with some personnel, some things that they do, but I think we've got a good plan, and if we execute, I think we'll be in good shape.
The Blazers will take on Austin College at 6:30 Saturday night. Before we wrap up, Coach, I want to talk about a couple of players who are off to really, really good starts. First, we saw him a lot in those highlights. Isaiah Blackman. He really is. He's obviously moved closer and closer to the ball as his career at Belhaven has progressed. Started deeper in the defense, and now he's on the defensive line. And you see how much of a problem he is for pretty much every team he's faced this year to block. What can you talk about just having that kind of athlete, that kind of driven player on your defensive line that just gets the tempo going early?
Yeah, he's a fun kid to watch. He has got a motor. There's no doubt about it. And he's one of those unusual kids that, before I got here, he was a defensive back, then he was a linebacker, now he's a defensive end. There's also another guy named Javon Curse that some people might know. He actually had the same path,
Yeah.
you know. And sometimes when those guys' bodies grow and develop and they can move down, you can put a really, really good athlete closer to the football that can make some plays. And that's what Isaiah's been able to do. He's big, he's physical, he's fast. You know, he's about 260 right now, and he's as fast as anybody on the field.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun to watch him grow and develop. The thing I'm most excited, Isaiah's already graduated. He's working on his master's, and he's doing a lot of things right in life as well that we're really proud of, and really pulling for him. It's going to be fun to see what his future holds outside of football too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another player I want to talk about, Connor Fordham, obviously a linebacker stalwart for the Blazers. He's off to a really, really good year, leading the team in total tackles as of right now. He's that kind of player that when I see him, he's like the safety blanket for the defense. He's going to be in the right spot at the right time, make the right play, slow down the offense. He seems to read the opposing offense so well. What does it do to have somebody who can just kind of seemingly, position the entire unit to be in the right spot at the right time?
Yeah, he's fun to watch too. He truly plays wide open, full speed ahead all the time. He doesn't do anything in life half speed.
Yep.
He spent half the summer in Africa on a missions trip, and then he comes back and he's going to try to hit quarterbacks as hard as he can.
Yep.
And he's a really neat, special kid that really defines what we want our program to be. If you wanted to put the picture in the dictionary, the perfect Belhaven football player would probably be Connor Fordham.
Yeah.
And I think anybody on our team would tell you that from top to bottom. He's a great student. He's a great ambassador on campus. His spiritual life is phenomenal to watch and admirable. And then he plays football the way that it was designed to be played. So he's a little bit of everybody's favorite. He's a neat kid to watch.
All right, we're not going to not show the offense any love, but we're going to cheat here. We're going to talk about a unit, the offensive line. They've been a story of this program really over since the spring, where we really saw the evolution of the offensive line. And I think this week, for me, even in a loss, kind of saw that start to culminate, where you're going against a team that wins the battle in the trenches. That's what they do. And for large portions of the game, the offensive line kind of bullied that front unit for Hardin-Simmons.
Yeah, bullying in Hardin-Simmons usually is something you don't put together. Usually they're the one doing the bullying.
Yeah.
So, but that offensive line unit, the thing that I'm most excited about them, they've done a great job so far. They've been big, they've been physical, they've been pretty sound in their assignments. Coach Lucky's done a great job with them. But if you look at that offensive line and you go left tackle, sophomore, left guard, sophomore, center's a senior who's splitting times with a sophomore, right guard, freshman, right tackle, sophomore.
Yeah.
So that group's going to be together for a long time, and they're doing a great job. They're going to continue to grow. They're going to get more physical. They're going to get more confident as they learn the game, and their football IQ improves. So really excited about the future of that group. It's a pretty special group, and Coach Wood's done a great job developing their bodies too. If you look at that same group played in 2019 and put on the film now, just watching them line up and getting their stance, they look like a different group. And Coach Wood's done a great job developing those guys. So really excited about that group.
The Blazers will take on Austin College, the Kangaroos, as they would be named, 6:30 in the Bowl Stadium. Make sure to show up back home, trying to even up the year, get back to 2-2 on the season. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot.